You're listening to All Things 3D, where we talk about the world of fabricating, designing, and capturing in the third dimension.
So I don't think there's any back music to this, but this is the latest demo from Magic Leap, which we're going to talk about here shortly.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
Augmented reality.
It is.
Wow. Welcome, everybody. All Things 3D, Friday episode, October 23rd, 2015. This is Week in Review. I'm Chris.
And I'm Mike. I'm right behind the Earth there.
And we're looking at a video that Mike brought up about the Magic Leap augmented reality kind of system. It's been floating around Reddit now for the last couple of days. We've been seeing some video demos, and yeah, we'll have to find out more about this system, maybe get our hands on one.
Yeah, well, I don't know about getting our hands on it. Let's kind of talk about it a little bit. One of the reasons I'm bringing it up, one, because it was in the news all week. You know, we've all heard about the Microsoft Hololens, and you know, a lot of people have said a lot of wow things about it. We talked about how now they have the developer kit out, or will be out in 2016 for a whopping $3,000. But some people think that they kind of, and this seems to be Microsoft's style, they push things very quickly, and then they kind of give these demos that are really wow, but that once people start actually get an opportunity to look at it, they're underwhelmed. Like supposedly the field of view is limited, it's like a slit instead of a full screen. But I'm wondering if Magic Leap has kind of come out now because of all the hoopla with Microsoft to kind of say, hey, we're out there. But the other important thing is, and I just saw this in the news, it looks like they're getting over another $1 billion of funding, which makes them the largest first round funded if this goes through. And I don't know, I'm assuming it'll be today that it officially gets announced. If this is the case, this is the most money given out at one time. But the other interesting thing to me is nobody really knows how this thing works. It's like there's a lot of guessing. If you go out to Reddit, some people, including myself, are a little skeptical, and because you really haven't seen any real demos on it, and the people, I guess, who have seen it are under NDA, so they can't talk about it. But people think, well, Google gave them $500 million. It must be something. So, I mean, what do they have here? And I'm trying to think back if I remember that it was a system that actually uses a laser low light that directly, what do you want to call it, emits into the eye itself. It was a different type of projector system that was completely different, and then it just kind of disappeared. A lot of people think, well, a lot of people from MIT is behind this, meaning a lot of the students, so it must be something of huge potential. Some of the people in the news are saying that it's of cinematic quality, and if you go out to their website, which I'll jump to real quick here, it shows the let's see, Magic Leap, which I grabbed a little video, not video. Jump to my screen here. Whoops.
Yeah, I read something that they got a $4.5 billion valuation or something like that, and they got somebody pledged $1 billion to them. I mean, like, that is just this world is like moving fast. What? And that's what, like, you basically see is what they're claiming.
I don't really know what the answer to that is. However, I've never seen
on a website that looks
an opening. Cool. Yeah, exactly. I never seen an opening page that reflected that, and that's one of the reasons I did a screen capture for our promos earlier or last night.
Like, are these kids seeing this, or is it one person seeing it? Is it multiple people? Because if you could do this, if this is like movie making, like, you know, if this is like for a whole crowd in a movie theater, forget about it. This is like a $100 billion idea.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, if this is truly the potential behind it, then they're worth their money. But as I know, hype is one thing, reality's another. So we'll see where this goes. But man, wouldn't it be cool to be able to go to a theater where instead of having to sit in front of a single flat plane, you're in a circular auditorium type
A
thing?
holodeck.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about it now.
And then they have the thing where you can smell, like at Disneyland,
The smell-o-vision.
Okay.
All right, Chris, well, lead us into your first item then.
First item is, well, we had a couple cool Kickstarters I decided to back this week. Not too expensive. I'm pretty reasonable in my Kickstarter pledges. This first one is called Modified or Modify 3D. And it's basically like a little soldering iron. And for 10 euros, 15 bucks, you can, it's like a little soldering iron with like little specialty tips that are really made for helping you edit your, or modifying your 3D prints, or fixing them. So I'll go to full screen here. And so here he's showing you can kind of cut a 3D print with, they've got a needle tip, a little knife tip, so you can bore out holes and stuff, like imperfections on your 3D prints. Use it for support removal and stuff like that, so you're not like breaking your fingers off. I bought this mostly because, or I backed this, I shouldn't say I bought it, but I pledged to the Kickstarter because, you are hopefully going to get a reward with any Kickstarter. So, but the knife tip, I felt like would come in real handy for some of my nylon prints, because some of my nylon prints, I have to print a brim or some support material. And really, nylon is really a pain in the butt to get the support material off when it interfaces with your print, because it's so strong that it makes it really hard to remove any support. So I figured maybe this might be a good way to do it. So for 15 bucks or whatever it was, 20 bucks.
Man, Chris, the thing, I mean, I'm going to get one. I don't have
Pretty
any
fun.
money, but I'm going to figure out, I'm going to go into the couch. But because like you, I do a lot of finishing. I either print things myself or I use Shapeways or I use you. But man, wouldn't it be great to have a tool like this? And the cool thing is, unlike regular soldering where you're melting metal, you don't probably have to have the same melting point. So that makes it very easy. Now, is this rechargeable? I mean, it looks portable.
Yeah,
Rapid
yeah.
feed, USB powered. Man, that thing is awesome.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
I'm going to get one of those.
And it looks pretty fun. That's why.
Man, I knew there was a reason to keep you around. All right, I'm going to jump right into my next item.
Awesome.
Which, very good. Thanks. So you may have seen this out on space.com. NASA picks their winners. Now, I saw this earlier, but I guess this was actually released by space.com on their website. So for $25,000, they developed this little thing that, oops, I guess I should bring up my screen and not look at you, Chris. It looks like maybe the shark is underneath the Martian sand there. So yes, very cool. Here's the habitats. But what they talked about, what makes this kind of cool is that they are kind of an ice house. Is that what you read as well? Which makes this kind of unique. I don't think these are all, this is the third place. This is the second place. And then this is the first place, which I guess is made out of ice. Yes? Is that what I understand? Chris?
Yeah, I think it's kind of, there's still a little bit to be left to interpretation. I'm not really 100% sure what, they say ice house, but I don't know what that means.
Well, I think I read earlier that it's actually made out of Martian ice, which helps as a radiation shield. But if you look through some of the comments, some people think that very cool design, but will it hold up under the gravity of Mars and the internal PSI that's required in order to create a habitable pressure environment. So it's kind of funny that they may look nice, but are they aesthetically, or are they functional?
Oh,
So that'll be
finally went and got to see The Martian the other day.
What'd you think about it?
Oh, yes. go see it. Everybody go see it. It's great.
Well,
They
you're a
need to
little
make
late.
more. They need to make more movies like that. That's for sure.
Did you ever read the book, Chris?
No, I don't think that wasn't the Ray Bradbury book, was it?
No. Yeah, boy, Chris, that's my time, not your
Yeah,
time.
no, I read that
The
back when
Martian
I was
Chronicles.
in grade school.
Yeah, I think it was kind of required reading. At least it was for me. So yes, I remember reading that back when I was in, 7th grade, 6th grade, which is eons ago. But no, this was based on a book called The Martian. It came out, I think, 2 years ago. Like everything, I use the word read, but I guess I listen. I listened to this book. Excellent, great narrator. If you're on audible.com, I should call them and say, hey, I need some promotional money. But audible.com is something I use. I just got finished reading a book about Chinese life done by somebody who I want to say is Chinese as well, but not from China. I think he's an American citizen, but went back over there, did a lot of work, but very interesting aspects that we don't see, and how what would you say, the capitalist or free market system is colliding with the socialist system, and some of the stuff that we have seen in the news. Good book. And then I'm on a new one that you might be interested. It's about, do you remember the bomber that took out the CIA office in Afghanistan? Sometimes it was like a triple agent. So that's a very interesting story. And, I won't shed any of my own interpretations or feedback on it, but very good books. The reason I've read those two is that if you're a member, they send you out these, like, buy all these books for $4.99. And, it's like the blue shopper at, or blue light special at Kmart. So needless to say, I stocked up on a few, but I'm one of the old guys with the 2 books a month club, and between my wife and I, we consume books ferociously or listen to them. Okay, back to you, Chris. Next item.
Awesome. This one, pretty fun. Doesn't have anything to do with books. Has to do with guns. All right. This guy.
I was hoping you'd pick this one.
Yeah, this is awesome. This guy is so cool. I want to meet this guy. He's awesome.
I don't know. He's got a weird look in his eyes.
Oh, you have a weird look in your eyes. This guy is creates a handheld railgun with a 3D printer. Look at this thing. If you haven't seen this thing, you got to go check it out. This thing is, buddy. This is so awesome. I hope he thingiverses this. I want to build one. This guy is like the epitome of a backyard tinkerer. Makes an 1,800 joule, 20-pound railgun rifle that's handheld, and he's got some videos showing it here. Let's check out some of these videos, and you really can't see very much, but it could shoot a graphite projectile. I can't remember how many feet per second, but basically, pretty fast, and no gunpowder needed. So, and he 3D printed most of the components. The actual driver for it is an Arduino Uno R3. That's so great.
I don't think it would be that complex. I think the fact is, if I remember my technology, a railgun is based upon a magnetic principle. You put I don't know if it needs to be ferrous. Obviously, you said it's graphite, but essentially it projects it using a magnetic force, and it ripples it. So it just kind of goes down and it accelerates as it's going on this magnetic force. You could do the same thing with a couple of static magnets. take something and put it between them of opposite poles, and you can get it to move pretty quickly. So essentially take the same thing and apply it here. Very cool that he's made it portable. The military has obviously been working on something like this for a long time because, as you said, it doesn't require gunpowder or explosions. And they just fitted a couple of battleships. Or
The Navy has some huge ones that they've done.
They've been testing, but I think they finally are deploying them. So that'll be very interesting. But now
so scary. Remember that? Do you remember the movie? I remember when I was a kid, this movie came out. It was called Eraser, and it has Arnold Schwarzenegger. And they had the men in black, that were after Arnie. They had railguns that also had an X-ray vision platform, so they could see through walls, and they could shoot the railgun through walls and just snipe you out. And I was that kept me up at night.
Yep. Well, now you'll have to stay underneath the covers wouldn't protect you.
This guy's gonna make a little 3D printed X-ray thing now. Eraser.
Tell me, in the back hallway there, you've got a safe room now. It's got like what, 2 feet of steel and lead to prevent any gamma rays.
Yeah, serious.
Okay, on to my next item. Essentially, I'm gonna get back into medicine because we're gonna need it after we get impaled by that gun. So, first surgery on the human genome. And before you go, well, we've been doing this. It is a new way of actually manipulating our genetic code. So, and this seems somewhat obvious to me. This is normally a print showing some color representation. This is false coloring, but it tells you all the markers. And this is what you normally see. So imagine taking a light and shining it through a three-dimensional object that's, let's say, translucent, and then showing that pattern. Well, that's what you see behind you here. But in reality, and they've obviously shown this for some time, this really is what DNA looks like. It's the helical strands. And now they have found out that this three-dimensional helical scan, well, and it's not probably something new, but essentially plays an important role in not only the positioning of the DNA material, but also its position in 3D space. And this article kind of likens it to origami. So essentially, you start out with a flat sheet of paper, but depending on how you fold it, you can represent different objects. Well, the same thing here. Depending on how you position your material, you can represent different cells. In this case down here, bone, blood, brains. So this, they said, is very important. And this is actually the 3D aspect of it. So like many things, multidimensional, and it's very important to see things and use things from a multidimensional perspective. So we're probably going to see something like this up here now in a more three-dimensional perspective, where you'll have the color coding not only in X, Y, but also a Z dimension as well. So I don't know how quickly that'll happen, but it'll be very cool if that actually occurs.
Awesome.
So pretty neat, huh?
Yeah, I know that a huge field right now is epigenetics, right? So genetics is just the study of the, DNA strands and the genes as they stand. But epigenetics, they're saying, is if not as important or more important than genetics. Epigenetics is the study of environmental factors, so exterior factors that play a role in how genetics, how genetics play out, and how they carry out into, the human body or the cell or the whole microbiome.
That's actually an offshoot. Essentially, it's not, how should I say? It's not the genome per se, but as you said, it's the external influences, or what they call gene expression.
And they're finding that it's really important. I could see how this particular being able to 3D represent things in 3D would help you pick out, it would help in both genetics and epigenetics. This is fascinating. I really, that's a cool,
the
cool
thing
article.
To caution on any of this is, let's look at it from a science-based perspective and ensure that we do multiple peer reviews and blind studies before starting to take something and move on with it. And that's what I'm finding is that, there's a lot of hard science that goes into us, and then there's some soft science. And so on to the next dyno. I'll stay in the medical. And I thought that was cool. And I was hoping our friend Dr. Cleos would come on to talk about this, because it appears I'm late to the game again. This is a product by BrainLab, and this is called the Aero. Let's go to this one first. This is the New Daily from Australia, and this is how I picked it up. Portable 3D CT scanner that essentially you can fit in your dining room. Now, it's, as you can see in the previous shot, here it is here. It essentially is like a donut, but they can actually utilize this while in the operating room. And what gives us more significance, and especially the reason that they're talking about it here, is that they can actually, while doing surgery, be able to locate, let's say, where screws need to be placed, specifically where a tumor is. In the case of the spine, exactly that's what they have on the screen here, where they may have to actually make some surgical manipulations. And, this is obviously very neat technology. I couldn't find a cost, but probably more than I can afford. This is an example they gave here. The actual website and the company is called BrainLab. There it is behind me. There's some videos. I'll actually play that here while I'm talking about it.
Imagine a diagnostic qualities.
But essentially, this is it. The guy kind of talks through it. It's very modern, donut shape. And essentially, you can move it around, move a bed into it, do your CT scans, know exactly where something is. The thing that isn't identified here, like many medical scanners, it isn't dynamic in the sense that it will continuously provide scans while you're operating. So essentially, you provide the scan, and then you have all your markers, and then you perform that over and over again. So I guess real time really isn't the concern. But the fact is that you can have this in the actual operating room. Now, I thought this was somewhat new, but I went to my main source, which was Dr. Cleos out of Florida, who's done a few YouTube videos, really is an expert in radiology, because that's what he does for a living, but he is also has a degree in engineering. So he really knows the stuff behind it. He says, this has been around since 2001. So I guess I'm a few decades behind, huh, Chris?
I don't know. This is the first time I've seen it. It's new to me. Look at this, and it's a pretty fit and finish. Yeah, I think any the cool part about it is it's basically like a CT lab that you could roll into a room. I don't know how. It's not really. It doesn't look like portable, as in like you can pick it up and move it to somebody's house real easily. But it has a whole system that if you needed to move it around the hospital, it looks pretty easy.
Well, and the fact that, as is shown here, the gurney and that can be actually placed inside of it. So if this is your operating table, you could essentially slide it in, take the scan, slide it back out, do the surgery, slide it back in to see what you've done. And as you can see there, it's got that nice little LCD panel. Makes it very easy. Oh, look, it's a touch screen. It's got to be cool if it's got a touch screen. But I thought this was very neat. I'll jump back to what we're actually able to do. Scott says that it's been around for some time. And then I also called upon my friend, Dr. Gardner, the neurosurgeon who did Siobhan's surgery. And he says, oh, yeah, we're working with these too. He didn't use it on Siobhan, but they are using it more and more. And the important behind this kind of technology, and one of the reasons that he was able to do the surgery on Siobhan, is that it allows you to do more precise incisions, boring with drills, because you know exactly where you're in three-dimensional space. And this is done using a technique like this in stereotactic, where you have locators actually embedded so that you know specifically where you need to go. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do the type of surgeries that we're able to do now. All right, Chris, back on to you.
All right. Well, mine is a little update from something we covered and some guests that you had on the program. eora 3D, high precision 3D scanning on your smartphone, reached their goal. They went 300% over their goal in less than 24 hours. So they are I think about 4 days in. They launched their scanner, and they are at already almost $350,000. So I think that they're going to have a product. I decided to back them because I want one of these things.
What?
Yeah, yeah. I got one of these things coming on the way, or when they say it'll. I can't remember when they say that it'll. They're saying June of next year, so it's a little far off. But hopefully they ship a little early, and if not, I'll wait.
Chris, I remember reading or hearing somewhere that a podcast called All Things 3D did an interview with them. I don't know, last week or something.
Yeah.
I think they kind of talked about all that kind of stuff. Don't know. No, actually, I did do an interview with the, as he called himself, the technologist or chief technologist. I can't remember, but it was a really funny thing. And I said, I'll stick with that, but like chief tech guy. But he talked about why they chose the green line laser, the fact that they're using both iOS and Android will be available in June. And actually the very reasonable price. Very cool. He didn't actually have a unit there, but we did show some Maker. I think it was the Maker Fair in New York. So I did show some video of it actually in operation there. Awesome item. So it looks like there's more than one backer. Chris is getting into the 3D scanning war with Mr. Balzer. No, just kidding.
No, this is for personal. I don't think it's real professional grade, but we'll see. We'll see what it does.
Actually, we'll see on that because.
And I bought myself a seat of SpaceClaim. So I've got a seat of SpaceClaim. So now, so now I have direct modeling capability, and it's kind of a very complementary kind of setup with SolidWorks. So I can take mesh files now and kind of make them parametric or reverse engineer things a little bit easier, make direct edits to mesh files a little bit easier.
So I'm assuming you're going to extend your services so that if somebody sent you a mesh file and wanted a parametric, you would be doing that in the future?
Yeah, or at least be able to directly model. SpaceClaim has, capability to basically edit and model mesh files easier. It's not perfect, but it also can fix STLs quite a bit better than anything else out there, including NetFab, which NetFab does a pretty good job, but SpaceClaim does a really good job of taking and it can take surface files and thicken them, and it can do a lot of stuff. So if anybody out there that wants a direct modeler to check out something kind of a little bit different than SolidWorks, check out SpaceClaim. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that myself. I don't know how much you've been working with Fusion 360, but that's becoming kind of a Swiss Army knife, and they've started bringing some tools in. I just want to be able to do T-spline, so I can now do organic modeling and then convert it back into a parametric, so that I actually applied that. I had to create a little replica of a Chrome guitar for a Cal Poly group, and I said, well, and the guitars have a body, so it's great to create three-dimensional planes, but I said, let me try that. So sure enough, and you can actually create quadrants, and then you can manipulate the quadrants so it has more of an organic feel, and then you can convert that back over into a solid model and then utilize that in so kind of neat. Don't have it to show you yet.
Fusion 360 actually has been getting a lot of buzz lately by some of my favorite people on YouTube. One of them is what is it? NYC CNC. NYC CNC is a channel, and he's a CNC machinist, and he puts up some great videos, and he has been ranting and raving about the machinist capabilities inside, or the cam capabilities inside. So anybody that's a cam operator, and you're looking for an affordable solution, like you're running your Tormach, it has unbelievable support for like any CNC operation, all the tooling, you know, all the bits that you need to, not bits, but mills and all those kind of, if you run a mill or a CNC, like any CNC machine, and you're looking for a CAM solution, Fusion 360 for the price is unbeatable. And he did accuracy tests the other day. I was watching his channel. He's kind of very particular with his machine, like tolerances and, you know, taking calipers, seeing how in calibration his machine is. And he was showing off how powerful Fusion 360 is. And how much is Fusion 360?
Well, I bought into it, and I'm hoping that it's still the same price, but I bought into the Pro version for $300. But if you're a student or just a kind of an entrepreneur, it's free for the light version, but I don't think it includes the CNC or maybe.
But
just
$300, I mean, for $300 a year, you've got.
Yeah. Now it may be more than that now, maybe $500 to $600, but even so, that's still very. I mean, it has become my tool, and you know, while we're talking, I'm trying to bring it up real quick, but this is what I use pretty much every day now, since all I seem to be doing now is solid modeling. So let's see if I can bring it up real quick here. Some of the stuff that I have been working on. Hang on. Almost there.
Fusion 360, Onshape. You've got all these new tools in our arsenal that are like totally affordable.
Okay, so here we go. This is what I've been working on. The render in this thing is great. It's easy to use. This is kind of the stuff
look at that.
That I've been working on. This is and I'm going to be showing an actual prototype. This is the new version. One of the things I found with a lot of VR stuff that I'm working on, they're great for phones, but you have to go through a lot in order to get back to the screen. So I've now created a hinged version of both the NEODiVR Jr. as well as the NEODiMount Loupe. And I've been working with some new features. This has an axis point in it, so it's fully articulated now. What else? It has animation capability. Here's another image of it closed. It has all kinds of materials. This is actually a silicone, but I found a rubber that kind of emulates it. So, I mean, just basically drag and drop your material right onto it. And you're obviously very aware of this using SolidWorks, but for a $300 product, it's just become a powerhouse. And everything can be done in 3D, or you can start using 2D functions. As I mentioned on the show the other day, I work in metric, as Chris said, all the time, but you know, I do get things that are only in inches. Bingo, you just put it in there, put IN behind it, and it immediately converts it to your metric. It really has become the tool of choice for me, and I can whip out stuff on this thing fairly quickly. Some of these things, the joint I had to put in the other night took me about an hour, actually even less than that. Took more time to render it than it actually did to create it, but you can see it in the side shot here. So it's a 2-axis or single axis with a pin that goes through it. And then I just started playing with it. I don't have an animation. It has an explosion capability, so I can explode all my components now and create an animation on it, and then you can label them at the end of the explosion, which I'm going to be doing as well. Very, very cool. It's funny. It's got all these features, and they rush to get all these features out with this application. And so I've had a lot of crashing, but luckily the restore functionality works pretty good now. In the beginning, it wasn't always so happy, but they keep adding new features. And with adding new features, you get bugs. I guess I can put up with it. But yeah, it's been a good tool. I'm very, very happy with it. And so I'm glad that it's getting some press. All right,
totally.
Well, I kind of let the cat out of the bag a little early. Let me jump back. I wanted to talk about this new thing. I think we mentioned them last week, didn't we? Canon?
Yeah, because we didn't see any VR. We didn't see anything. We saw a 3D printer that they had, possibly pictures. I don't know where those are from, but this looks like another picture of a prototype.
Yeah, this looks like either a production prototype, but it's essentially a double-handled device. actually doesn't look very, well, it looks like a Canon product. But the cool thing inside of it is that it will have two 2.5, well, actually this person is identifying here. Brad Herman I've worked with before. He actually covered, what's that big show, Comic-Con? He actually did some 3D scans and created some VR demos, but he actually talks about it. Supposedly it's got two 2560 by 1440 resolution screens inside of it for a total of 5K for each eye. And here it is again. So again, it's this handle, but you know, there's a reason I'm bringing that up, because I want to show something that has gone from these little drawings you've been seeing to an actual product.
Ho 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 ho.
So this, as I've been talking about, is the NEODiVR Loupe. Right now it's with rubber bands, but if you remember the little illustration, it's going to have, I don't like eyelets with rubber, silicone between them to fit over it. But here it is. This is something else I'll be showing. But this is the unhinged version, but the next version, this will pop up, and then you'll have access to the screen, and then it pops down. It has the widest FOV of anything that's out there right now. It's like 15 degrees more than Google Cardboard. It uses 41 millimeter diameter lenses. It'll come in plastic, glass, and then I'm also finding a source for an achromatic lens, which is the ultimate, which means you get no chroma artifacts and the distortion is less. More expensive. They'll turn this thing into a $200 unit, but if you're into perfection, it has, I mean, it's great. It's like peering into a wall. It's very compact with the grip and shoot handle. I don't know. Let's compare it again. Let's go back to the Canon here, which probably won't be less than $2,000 to my unit. If you already got an iPhone 6, Android device, we're looking at maybe with plastic, $50 for this. That's what I'm hoping. Comes with silicone flaps, and I'm very comfortable. And the cool thing is, you can either hold it so you know you don't have something on your head, but I also have a kind of like the Special Forces. I've got a headband that has an arm that extends in front of it, so it just kind of rests in front of your eyes. So you don't have anything enveloping your head. And it's something after the last year, 2 years I've been working with VR, you get sweaty, it gets itchy. I don't know, this just to me seems like for casual VR, the perfect way to get a high quality unit. I can't, you know, I'm promoting my own product here, but I designed this because I've been playing with it and I've wanted something. It is very flexible. Sorry, Chris, to promote myself here. It is very flexible in the sense that you have these little rubber bands that easily, I say easily, pop off. And there's a non-stick surface or a little sticky surface, not too much. I found that too much actually started to adhere more dirt, just enough to keep it in place. It fits any 5.5 plus phone. So if you got one of the new Nexus 6Ps, this will be perfect for it. So it'll be interesting. I mean, obviously, with the new Sony phone coming out that will have a 4K screen, this will be great for it because you'll be able to pop it right onto it. So I don't know, Canon, you might have some competition there. Okay, back to you, Chris. You got anything? And then I'll end it with one more item, and then we'll be calling it an end today.
This is pretty good one. This is my favorite one of the day, I think. This is coming via VR Times. virtualrealitytimes.com. This is Meet Jaunt 1, the world's most amazing VR camera. Little background on Jaunt. Who is Jaunt? They are a complete cinematic VR solution. Jaunt's technology provides an end-to-end solution for creating cinematic VR experiences. We have developed an integrated suite of hardware and software tools to provide the highest quality immersive content. That's via Jaunt's website at jauntvr.com. So you can read more about them. But this news article talks about they have released the specs of their new VR camera. You see it's a spherical camera with cameras all about, and This camera is capable of output resolution of 8K, 4K per eye at an amazing 120 frames per second. So it's able to completely eliminate, nearly completely remove the infamous screen door effect that was in the DK2. But they are already planning on following up with a J1 24R, which will be available starting in early 2016. And it runs at 32K, which is 16K per eye. So this is their camera. Here's some photos of it. And
now keep in mind, Chris, that is the imaging. You still need a screen that's capable of showing that.
right.
One thing that I noticed, if you remember, we talked about the V.360, which is my little unit. It is also a 4K, and even though it's just using like a standard camera imager, you can see the difference between that and 1080p, because with a panoramic or spherical, you need all the resolution you can in order to have that detail. So even if this thing is capable, would you say 8K or 4K per eye, that if you put that on YouTube, that gives you better quality, even just if you're watching on a regular screen and just panning it. So, and if you notice right above that has all the microphones. That's another thing that they've been really working on, is the ability to capture 3D audio as well, because visual is only one part of it. So let's backdate a little bit. For those of you who watched us earlier, do you remember when I showed off the Paul McCartney? Was it the Wings? But they did a VR demo, and I think I showed it. Gosh, it's been almost a year now. But that's kind of how they got some of their fame. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Plus, it looks really cool.
Yeah, and it's gonna get interesting, because as these VR experiences kind of evolve and they get to full blown movie making, I mean, the filmmakers are literally having to change their entire game, because before this VR movement, and I mean, this is going to explode into movie making and all that. A movie maker could hide all their crew and production, everything behind, and they're just filming one way. But now that you're filming all around, it's like the camera guy or the camera's there, and your whole set and everything has to be completely hidden. So I mean, filmmaking is going to change as we know it, with this whole VR explosion going on.
Yeah, some people are actually Ridley Scott, my favorite director, kind of identified that he is going to be looking at VR. He said, "Do I have
Why
a
not?
choice?"
Yeah, no, that's the entertainment of the future. So
yes, very cool item. I think it's like take me to your leader. Kind of looks like an alien. But on that note, I want to bring this up. So if you want spherical VR on the cheap, this was just announced the other day. Amazon is making it available, but stock is already it's already sold out. So if you didn't get in on it, this is the RightBoth S digital camera. They had an earlier model that was interesting, but it was a little bit under par. This thing now supports full HD at 30 frames per second for about 20 minutes built in. It's about the size of a gum pack, and essentially, yeah, it's going to be neat. My idea with it, and we'll see in the future, is taking two of these to create stereo imaging. Part of the problem with a lot of these 360s is that they're still flat. Yeah, you can look around in them, but it's a flat plane. You don't actually capture what your eyes are seeing. But these are small enough that this could be something. We'll see. We'll have to go down to the next section. What a segue. I actually did a good segue. Let's go spelunking in the tech cave here.
Let's go.
Let's go. And let's get this done real quick, because Mr. Balzer has to go to the restroom. So essentially, I have been working feverishly. We just showed this little device here. This is the Loupe. We have one more iteration with the hinge, and it will be ready for production. But I wanted to show this little baby. And if you remember, I had been talking about this for some time, because I wanted to do something different. This is, oh, and you won't be able to see the color because it's green. I'll have to show you.
Oh, this is funny.
It's the new invisible.
Oh,
But essentially, this fits the smaller compact. And I've been really looking for a device, but Apple is somewhat underrated, and they're always talked about all their expensive products. But the point is, they have this iPod Touch, which essentially is an iPhone 6 in a smaller screen size, which is great for kids because the low end models like $199. You can buy it at Costco for $165, very reasonable. So I thought I'm going to develop something specifically for that. So if you remember last week, I showed a little bit of a comparison between here. I'll show the yellow version because it'll show up. Between that and the monstrosity called the Mattel, and I don't even want to give them any more attention, but their VR Viewmaster, yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's like 4 times bigger than this. But this has its own little handle, and this is, you can't see it because I'm keying out the green, but essentially it comes in a green and yellow, or the cooler yellow and black construction look. This version here has the ability with loops to be able to attach it to your head, but I don't think people should be wearing these consistently, especially kids. So, with a little handle, it's nice to put it up there, and it has the same performance as my iPhone 6 for VR stuff. So I've already tried it. I already have a Google VR logo on it already. So it is being certified. I'm sending them 2 demos, so it'll be on their website soon. But the important thing is this version isn't really going to be for sale. I'm putting this in my Kickstarter as kind of, you fund my Loupe for yourself, and you put in a few dollars for this so that I can build these for children's hospitals. And that's really the goal, is to be able to provide something that can take a child, who might be suffering, hurting, into another little world. And so that's my goal here. So I'm hoping to have my Kickstarter up in 2 weeks. So that is called the NEODiVR Jr. I sent Chris some of the CAD drawings if he wants to make a couple. I need to test this actually out with a few kids, so maybe we need to get together before you go to New Zealand. And then, so that's it. So the Loupe is coming out. Both of them will have a hinged viewing area, so you can immediately have access to the screen. I tried to keep it as simple and durable as possible. So that is one thing. The other thing that's coming out, and I'll bring this back up again, is the new NEODiMount version 2. What makes it the version 2? Voila, as I call it, blue steel. The actual case itself, now if you know what I mean by blue steel, let's see if I can put on my blue steel look. Zoolander 2 is coming out. But the NEODiMount Plus, and this is actually the new NEODiMount Plus version 2 case with the wide angle lens, which has some very importance in VR, but I can't tell you about it. But essentially, instead of having the magnets on the actual case, some people were concerned about using their compass, not like I do, but now you won't have to worry about it because it's just a sheet of blue steel, very thin, that fits across the entire length of the sensor. But here's the cool thing. Guess where they're at? I have redesigned the bottom. So you essentially replace the bottom of your structure sensor with a device that has 3 neodymium magnets built into it. So what's cool about it, one, it distributes the force all the way across it. You slide it in, boom, very solid, isn't going to go anywhere. The other cool thing is, if you notice, get close, there are actually 4 holes, so you can actually mount it physically. So if you find yourself in an area where you need to have the physical connection, that's still available. This is the NEODiMount Plus for the 6S Plus, but it is also available for the 6 as a Plus. Same thing. Attaches very quickly. Boom. You're in business. And the real cool thing, and I'll show this with the iSense, this is the version, these are the brackets that come with your occipital structure sensor that fit on your iPad. But the problem is you've had to bolt it to it. So this has to slide on and off. Well, what if you want to keep it on your iPad or your iPad mini and just remove this? Or if you want to go from your iPhone or maybe multiple iPads, it is Blue Steel is now built in to the bracket. So the same thing allows you to use the existing. You don't modify the dimensions because it is just a new bottom. So you can essentially go from one device to another. They're all within the calibration of your previous device, so you don't have to recalibrate. Now let's see. And then I also have a low profile attachment that can be attached to any case to do the same thing. So if you have an existing case that you love or enjoy, voila. Very flexible, very neat. And if you remember, I have a lighting system that can use the same mount system that's being redesigned. Thanks to my friend Chris. He has laser cut the new panels for that. Here's the box. Here's the little LED. The white panels coming in, and we'll have NEODiVR. Okay, enough of infomercial, Balzer, and all things 3D. Back to our regular show.
Awesome. Well, today's episode of the Print Whisperer goes over something very simple, very easy, but very necessary. Today, I want to talk about backlash. Backlash can be a 3D printer's worst nightmare. Backlash is basically how much play or tolerance you have when you apply a resistant force to a mechanical device. And what you want to do in a 3D printer, that can affect your performance, not only your machine stability, but your accuracy, your precision of your machine, both accuracy and precision, which are different. So if you want to find out more about that, go read about it. But you want to fight backlash. The easiest thing to do is periodically do preventative maintenance. And the easiest thing to do is grab your favorite wrench set, maybe your iFixit toolkit, your Allen wrenches, your regular wrenches, box end wrenches, and just go and make sure every month or so to just go around your machine and tighten up. Especially important are where the motor mounts are. So anywhere that there's vibration happening, all those little vibrations that are happening all the time as your printer is printing can rattle nuts, bolts loose. So just tighten them up. It'll actually improve. You'll see instant results when you tighten up your bolts. So make sure to do preventative maintenance, go into your machine and tighten things up. That's my Print Whisperer tip of the day.
Thank you, Chris. Well, I'm going to have to disappear. Why don't you kind of close off the show? I've got to go to the bathroom really bad. We'll be drinking. So
awesome.
I have this up on the screen. You can talk about it a little bit, and I'll.
Yeah, we've got some shows coming up. Right now, we've got the Additive Manufacturing and 3D Printing Expo going up. No, we have the Inside 3D Printing Expo going on in Anaheim right now. And I know we've got a couple other things coming up. Let me pull up my calendar of events here. We will scroll down to the bottom. Let's see. It is going by so fast. Halloween next week. We've got Prototyping 2015 in Belgium. We've got the 3D Printing USA show coming up in Santa Clara, California. And the Inside, that's right, this Inside 3D Printing show, another show going on in Santa Clara is going on right now. And that pretty much
okay,
sums up our upcoming events.
I'm back.
And anything you want to add, Mike, before we sign off?
That's a relief. Nope. So, did you talk about the show that's going on right now? Guess
I
we showed
did.
it in October. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll cover some of the events probably next week. Hopefully next week we'll cover some of the events that are taking place there this week as we speak.
Yep. So the only last thing that I want to mention is I've got something special for next Friday, being close to Halloween, that I'm going to be bringing up. Can't tell you about it, but I think it'll be pretty cool. I also want to let people know, if you wanted to try out some of the NEODiVR VR items, I'm going to be making a link available in the show notes for OR surgery that you can download for free. If you have an iOS device, you'll have to send me your DID so I can add you to my list of betas. Or if you're Android, there'll be an APK that you can load onto your machine, your Android device. And even though you won't be able to move around in it, you'll be able to use a joystick to move around if you want. So those will be available in the show notes for you to try yourself. Okay, that's about it on my end. How about
All
you,
right.
Chris?
Thanks so much to our listeners, our audience, our loyal audience, and our thanks, Mike. And
Hey, we had 2 viewers live.
Awesome. And we will see you next week on another episode of All Things 3D.
Bye.